All right, welcome everyone. Hold on a sec, Toby. Welcome everybody to Directory webinar number 30. Today we're going to be talking about product launch funnel. I actually have a lot to cover today. Originally, I wasn't going to go over too much, but the more I deep dive in here, I was like, we'll just go into a couple different avenues. And so I got actually a ton of stuff to go over today, and we'll demo some of the stuff on BD on how you can do this. We went over the cart funnel last week, so if you missed it for webinar number 29, I encourage you guys to go watch that one. But today we're going to talk about product launch funnels. It could be something that a product or service that you guys are launching from your directory, and maybe some thoughts on how to execute that coming up for you guys. So again, just hello to everybody. Like normal, we'll go ahead and jump in and just discuss whatever you guys want to initially here real quick. I answer some questions if you guys have any. And otherwise, we'll deep dive right into the presentation for today on product launch. How's everybody doing? Alan, hello. Rob.
Hi.
Have you joined us before, Rob? I can't remember. I know there's a lot of people in and
I'm
out.
brand new. Scott Meisner sent me the link to sign up to help me out to start monetizing my site. So I figured I'd join.
Okay, great. Yeah, I did see that. So, or at least he pointed you out to me. So, welcome, Pauline. Welcome.
Hi. I have a quick question, Ryan.
Sure.
Like totally random. In the browse categories, like when the layout, as well as in the, I noticed for the sub accounts in a dashboard, is there a way to make the column width wider for those on how they appear? Because we have a couple words that are kind of.
Now, you're saying browsing categories and dashboard. Are you talking the back end or the front end?
The front end. So how it appears in the search results, or like just on the. And I can call you.
No, that's fine. I'm just gonna what I'm gonna do. Can I just go to your site and look at it?
Yep. So the EML Canada one.
Okay. Give me a second.
One's in the back end, but one it's more the front end I'm worried about.
All right. I think we got that correct.
In the footer, there's the browse categories.
Okay. You've done a lot of work to that. It's looking good. All right. So down here. Okay.
Yeah. So the browse categories one.
Browse categories. Got it. Okay. So let me talk to you real quick on this. We can go in and fix it later. I'm logged in as mine for some demo stuff, so I'll be able to fix it for you. But I'm going to show you where that's at for everybody. So just as a reminder for everybody here, if they do not know, the Brilliant Directories site is based off from a Bootstrap framework, and all that really means is that there's a framework for how it's divided on the screen, and it's divided into 12 different parts. So you'll notice sometimes where it's talking about columns with numbers, and basically that just means that the screen, if you divided it up into 12, equal widths or columns, there's certain segments or divs basically that are a certain number of columns wide. So you'll notice on the about here, I'm just going to go demo mine, and then you can easily do it on yours once I show you how to do it. But this about is normally like 5/12 of the entire width. There's usually one on the side because it's usually offset, perhaps. There may be some in here, and then these would be divided out the rest of the width or whatever. So this would be 2/12, 2/12, and 2/12. So her question is, if you guys notice, it says browse locations. That looks fine, but the browse categories, because that 2/12 width is too or not wide enough for those longer words, it's cutting it off. So the easy way to do that is just to kind of total up the number of items here. And it may very well be that you can easily increase that without it rolling over the 12. And what I mean by that is, if you have this 6 wide and this is 2, 2, and 2, that's 12, right? All the way across. If you increase this to 3, now all of a sudden there's 13 12ths widths, and it's not enough to fit on a line. So what it's going to do, it's going to wrap that support section to the next line because it's out of room. So what you want to make sure is that all of these things that are showing in this row, the about, website, search, and support, all add up to less than 12. And so if you want this one to be wider, maybe you make the about section a little bit smaller. And so you can change this from a 2 to a 3 and widen it out so the browse categories fit. So I'm going to show you guys where that is at.
Ryan, before you do that, was actually when you click on browse, I'm less concerned about how that appears, but when you actually click on it.
Okay.
And here when we have our how all of the the categories, the subcategories and subs show up. It's this page.
Yep.
And so when you look under, let's say the equipment for any of those, the drop down.
Okay. All right. Got it.
It's communications there. Like that's the one that bugs me. So it's the width of these ones, but I know it's going to be the same principle, but I don't know where to go to change this page.
Okay.
But
so so I'll show you that real quick. So in the settings, the first one that we're talking about is the menu manager. So that's where you're going to go for the footer. There's going to be a footer menu on there. Everybody's going to be the same unless you've renamed it, but it's just going to say footer menu. And so you'll want to go into there and click edit. And once you go in there, you're going to see all of your different areas. You can kind of see the segmentation of your site. Mine just says contact us, but usually that's about, right? And you can kind of see these are all the things indented or the things under the about, all the things under organization. So you'll be able to see kind of how they would stack on your website here. You can, these are all the indented items because they're underneath that search column. So what you're going to look at here is the top row here. So like for yours would say about, website, search, and support, right? I look at about, search, and you're going to go to the settings for this tab for each of these top ones. And here's what I was talking about the numbers. It's going to say, mine says 3. And then the next one says 3. And then the next one says probably 3. The next one probably says 3. So there's my 12, right? My 4 by 12. So what you want to do is just make sure if you have some extra spots, if it doesn't add up to 12 for those 4 sections, you're good to go. Just make that a 2 to a 3 for that one that you need wider. If that is more than 12 or is 12 already, sorry, it won't be more than 12. Then you'll need to maybe change this one from a 3 to a 4, for example, and then this one I want to exchange out because I don't have as much there. I'll make that a 2. Now I'm back to that 12 again, but I'm wider here where you want that expanded out. So does that make sense?
Yep.
And so once you do that, you'll be able to save that, and that'll be good. Now on to the other question. If you guys ever go to want to see what widget you want to edit to potentially do that. And so you're going to have to edit the widget, and we'll look at that to see if this is something that's editable. Some of these are not because they're paid add-ons or things that are in there or just not in the code, but it's not a setting for that, I guess is what I'm saying. So you're going to have to edit the code. But one of the ways you can do that is just click your visit website. And when you do that with when you're in your back end, by clicking that button, not just by browsing to it, it's going to give you this admin. There's going to be an admin panel over on the side here that you're going to be able to see what widget you want to edit. And so what you can do there is, let me go to my categories real quick to kind of, actually I don't have it linked here. Let me go to my page. And these pages are always there, whether they're linked or not, if you guys don't know that. So if I just type categories into mine, for example, it's going to come up even though I don't have it linked on my footer like she does. So it's going to come up there. Now that admin still be there. What you want to do is click this search bar with the plus, and it says show widgets. And what that allows you to do, it kind of gives you a behind the scenes peek of what's on that page, and allows you to one click gain access to that particular widget. And you notice here it says widget, bootstrap theme, category groups, member categories. So if you guys just click on that name, that's going to open up that widget so you can edit that. And just so you guys know, the red ones, which is kind of antithetical to me, but the red ones mean you have not changed it. The blue ones mean that you have. So if you ever see a blue widget here, that just means you've done some, or developer, somebody has done some changes to the default widget. The red ones mean you have not touched it. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that widget there, and that'll open up on your back end. It'll just open up another instance of your back end, and you'll be able to look at that particular code. And that was the member category. Normally it would open up one in there. There's two category group ones. So it gives you an option of two, but it was that first one that we looked at. And I may not be able to just in real 2 seconds here figure out where to do that. What you want to do is you can search for that column look, right? Because that kind of tells you how big they are. So here we are. Here we see that column small 6, right? And then the column medium 3, and it says sub level link. And so I'm guessing if we change that 6 to a 3, or I mean the 3 to a 6, because that's basically saying 3. It's doing it in groups of 4, right?
Yeah.
That's going to change that to a row of 2 instead of a row of 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and we'll see what that looks like on the front end here. And to get out of that, you just have to click the minus to hide the widgets, and that'll make that go back to the original view. And there we go. See, now I have 2 instead of 4. And now I have you have plenty of room, if it was there to expand out without it flipping over the words. Now you could, instead of doing a 6, go from 3 to 6, you can go from a 3 to a 4, which would then put 3 columns across, right? So 12 divided by 3 or 4 would be 3. So maybe going from a 3 to a 4 is good enough. So always do it in multiples of or what would make a 12, right? So you want to go from 2 to 3 to 4 and then 6. You would never put 5 because that doesn't make 12.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Didn't mean to hijack for you. But helpful. Thanks.
That's it. You never come to one of these again. No, I'm just joking. No, you did not hijack it. That's what we do. Okay. Oh, good, Pauline.
Hey,
Ryan,
I had a quick question here.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a quick one here, Ryan.
Yep. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay. If you just go to my homepage for Podcasters Directory, I'm just trying to fill in a gap of some white space on the homepage. And it has to do with, I think, the sidebar manager. But I'm not sure how to, modify that on the homepage.
Well, that site's pulling up there, Rich. I'm just going to answer Jeremiah's question. So he's asking if BD has any plans to upgrade the Bootstrap version they're using. They're using 3.7, I think is what they're on now, and the current version is 5. I don't know if they're going to switch to the new version. The reason that I think they're hesitant upon doing it, unless it has some really huge functionality, is just because a lot of times the coding's a little bit different for the Bootstrap versions. They changed in the nomenclature a little bit. And as Deborah, I know, loves, she loves it when things change and her website breaks and it doesn't work as it should. So that is probably what would happen when they do that. Either the code would have to be upgraded or things would have to get changed around. And it does cause some consternation sometimes. I don't work for B. I haven't heard them actually talking about the Bootstrap upgrade or a framework or anything or change for that. I haven't heard anything unless somebody else has. But so I don't on whether they're going to just realize there's some repercussions, right? With the benefits come disadvantages, and that's definitely potentially one of them. We're on your directory. Where do you need to go?
Okay. Just on if you just scroll down below that, right before you get to featured members, you'll see the sidebar on the right.
Oh,
and then see it create that gap right there, right above featured members. So,
that just means you need to add 2 additional blogs.
More blog content. Can I just remove in the
out, right? So.
Okay, but one option, can I just remove the thing about joining our newsletter, or is that part of the whole sidebar?
Well, it's part of the whole sidebar. So his question is, and again, Rich, I'm not going to go into yours. I think we made a separate sidebar for the main page sidebar. So I think you know how to remove stuff. I'm going to show everybody how to do that, but you'll just need to log in as yours, go into that sidebar for the main page, and then just remove those, the join now and the join our newsletter, the 2 bottom things on there. Just remove those and hit save, and it'll move it right up to the bottom of that. That example. So let me just talk about that for everybody real quick, what we did for Rich's site here. And then Rich, if you want to just follow along in your back end, you can fix this. But in the sidebar manager, you can clone sidebars and make them for different pages. So if you make a custom page, if you have a different post type and you want a specific sidebar for that particular post type, you can clone sidebars and edit what are in those and assign them to particular pages if you want. So what we did for his, just what you can do is you can just create a new sidebar. Let's just do one like we did from his. You can start like clone one that you already like, or you can just start from scratch. We'll start from scratch, and we'll say main page sidebar. Okay. And what it's going to do is it's just going to make a blank sidebar, and it's going to have the same normal drag and drop sections that you would find for any other sidebar. It's just going to be empty for this one when we go in there. So there it is. We're going to go and hit edit, and it's going to be blank on the right side because it's starting from scratch. Now, if you clone something, you clone another one, then it's going to have whatever was in the other one in the drag and drop order here to the right. But it's blank right now because we haven't done anything. So if we want to do one for the testimonial like he did, let's say we had I have a whatever you want to put in there, you can do that. Looks like I don't have that testimonial one. I have a couple custom ones in here, but let's say we wanted to add that newsletter one that he was wanting to take out. So it says, not the modals, those are the pop-up. We want the display newsletter subscribe, module newsletter sign up form. That's what we want. So we're going to put that one over here, and let's say that member join offer, that's the other one that he's going to take off. We're going to put that one on there. So for he's going to go in that main one we meant, and he's just going to delete those and hit save, and then those will disappear. We're adding them in there. So you can drag and drop the order, add whatever you want in here, and then we're going to save the changes on that.
Good.
So that's how you make a sidebar. Now, the one that he's talking about is, so let me just go into a couple different areas here and show you where you can do that. If you go to the content web page builder, there's a bunch of pages you already have in the website that maybe are custom. You can change the sidebar that you have for that particular page. So let's say you want to change the join page, right? The pricing page sidebar, you can go in there, and it works the same for any one of these pages. You go into the sidebar there, and there's going to be a section over here for display options. You go in there, and it says show sidebar, no sidebar. So now I can go pick that that other sidebar that I made, and main page sidebar, there it is. So and then you just hit save, and so that adds that custom sidebar that we just made there. You can add for any particular page. What you also can do is you can go and do that for any particular post type. So if you go into the edit post settings, and then you go to any post that you like. So let's do video for mine. We're going to go in there. Got 67 videos you guys can go take a look at. But I'm going to scroll down to the additional settings. I'm sorry, not there. Sorry, search result, or let's see, search results design. We want to change what sidebar is on the search results when I do a video search. Down at the bottom under additional settings, you're going to see the sidebar to use. So again, it's going to default to a generic post search result. So here's the example. If you make a specific sidebar that's only for videos, maybe you make a widget for different stuff. Maybe you have an ad for a video. You make your own sidebar. You would then pick that custom sidebar. But again, I could click that main page sidebar that I made there, and you can do this for every single post type on your site. And then the other, obviously, a member listing is also a post type, so you would do the same thing for the member listings. But the one in question here from Rich is actually going to be in the design settings. And this one's a little bit, I don't want to say it's hidden, but it's a little bit different than the other ones because there is an option in here for the main page setup which is what he had turned on there. It is the articles plus sidebar option. And so you want to go to settings and design settings. Go to the second homepage tab. Yeah, hopefully you didn't work too far ahead. Otherwise, well, if you change the the sidebar, but you want to make sure you change the
Yeah, I was following along with you, and apparently I did the wrong one because I didn't go to homepage. I went to the sidebar settings.
Well, no, you're fine. If you change the sidebar and save it, it's automatically going to change. You don't need to change the sidebar. You just need to remove something from the sidebar. So you really only had to do that first step, Rich, and you should have been good. But I mean, this will answer the question. Maybe you updated the wrong sidebar. So you go to homepage, and in the additional homepage sections, there is a streaming member articles or blog, whichever one you want, blog articles or member articles with sidebar. And if you pick that in the settings in there that you pop up here, once it loads, there will be an option here of sidebar. Now it says with sidebar, but you actually have to pick one. And you pick the sidebar. So again, I would pick the main page sidebar, and then you can do right or left on there and you save it. So again, you can edit that sidebar. And if you forgot which sidebar was picked, you'd have to go in here when it is. But then once that's selected, it's there. You're good to go. You should never have to edit this again here because you're just going to go into the sidebar settings and move or replace the widgets in there after the fact. Does that help, Rich? Were you able to get that?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I went in and did the sidebar instead of the homepage settings, and I removed the join newsletter and 3 member options, but I must have moved it off the wrong sidebar because it didn't update.
Did you hit save?
I think so. I'll just work on it while you continue the.
Okay, but that's how you do it. Sometimes, most of the time, is you and just so you guys know that when you guys go into that sidebar thing, you can't just hit the X on there to get rid of it. After you X out of it, you still have to save. Otherwise, it pretends like you didn't do anything.
Okay,
so
I just hit the X. Maybe I didn't hit the save.
Yeah, so that's your problem. So go back in the main sidebar again, and when you guys do that, it again maybe should auto save. Maybe I think they just do that so you can kind of maneuver it, and then you're like, never mind, I don't want that. So protection. But if you got rid of that like this, it's going to say, do you want to remove it? Yes, continue. And it even tells you, so I guess you just have to read the thing. It says it's not permanent until you hit save changes. Right there, changes will not be permanent until the sidebar has been saved. And then it'll say deleted. It looks good, but you still have to hit save changes. Otherwise, nothing happens.
Okay,
so let me go ahead and delete that one. So
I'm deleting it now. The join offer, I just hit yes and continue. But I didn't hit, and it says okay. But now if I hit save changes, when I refresh, and if you're on the home page as well, it should be updated now in real time.
There it is. Looks like you got rid of another one up there too. I don't know what was up there before, but did you get rid of the wrong one?
Oh, I guess I did. It said join newsletter, but yeah, I wanted the ad. But now I know how to do that. So I'll just work on it here in a minute.
Okay. Great.
All right. Appreciate that, man. Thanks.
All right. So, yep, no worries. Scott's asking. I don't see Scott. Did he comment in Bolt? I don't know. Or maybe just on the screen. Can you replace the logo with your own logo? Scott, I don't know what you mean by that. Can you replace the logo? If you mean the site, you can replace any logo you want. Basically, if you can replace any stuff, if there's something on there, I'm not sure what the question was, but of course you can replace your. Or Jeremiah, I guess, click in here. New logo was added on settings, general settings, brand images, website logo. Okay, that's just general for the site. So pretty generic question, but that's good. Sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things in BD because there's so many settings, right? So to replace the logo for anybody on the recording here, go to settings and general settings. Actually, it is kind of a design thing, but it is actually in general settings, and it's in the brand images right here. And this is where you go ahead and change all of the generic ones for your website. Now, there's some that will auto default to other things if you don't have them in there. So for instance, if you don't have an invoice logo or email template logo, it'll still add your main website logo in there if you don't upload anything here. If you want to add a logo, so some of these are not necessarily needed. It'll automatically do that, but this is where you do that for the brand imaging. Oh, and I just realized I didn't actually show that to you guys. You guys need to speak up when I screw up. All right, settings and general settings, brand images. There you go. And that's where you add the logos. This is what I was talking about, the invoice logo and the template logo there, where you don't need it. It'll just use your website logo if you don't add that. So this is in case you want a different invoice logo or something on your invoice or your emails as opposed to a different one than your actual website logo. Great. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, let me go ahead and get into the presentation for today. I'm going to, we're going to go over slides up here. All right. Well, what we're going to do is today's product launch funnel. So as we have before, we were watching the What the Funnel video introduction, and that's what they're going over this week. So they're pretty funny videos. We'll go ahead and watch that one to kick us off here for the product launch funnel. Once it loads, there we go. It does not like YouTube and being recording. All right, here we go.
Don't know how to get it up.
I apologize, guys. I don't know why these things are not working the last couple of weeks.
So,
All right. Let's try this again.
you've given up. instead found a new dream, launching a new product, program, or business, but you don't know how to get it off the ground. Well, you click the right video. Let's talk about the product launch funnel. So product launch funnels are an amazing way to provide your potential customers with a ton of value, trust, and motivation before presenting them with an offer. You've seen this with movies, right? They release teasers and trailers so that by the time the movie hits the big screen, people will rush to watch it. Why? Because it's only in theaters for a limited time. And that's how this funnel will sell your product. The strategy behind this funnel was pioneered by an entrepreneur named Jeff Walker, who created the product launch formula and taught it to hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs. And now the formula is becoming more well-known and utilized by successful entrepreneurs such as yourself. Let's unpack the pages. So this funnel traditionally has 6 to 7 pages: a registration page, the video pages, order form, and the order confirmation page. Let's look closer. The registration page is pretty simple. Our goal here is to get their email so that we can send each part of this launch directly to them. But in order to do that, we got to get people excited and curious about your solution to their problem. You can do that through an attention-grabbing headline, the secret all-bacon diet that nobody wants you to know about. If we could rewind to step 0 for a second. Step 0, make sure your product is factual. Whether it's discover a new way to lose off, or the secrets of a secret photographer, or the 7 keys to having a healthy relationship, you just have to tease them a bit, like a teaser for a movie. Then you offer your solution in the form of a 4-part training series, a web class, if you will. However, these videos are currently locked, but they can be unlocked for a limited amount of time in exchange for, you guessed it, diamonds. Pure, precious diamonds. But we will also accept an email. And now they enter the launch sequence. Now, this will make up the next 4 pages, but they won't get to see them all right away. You have to make them wait. They enter their email and they're expecting a follow-up. In the dating world, you traditionally wait 3 days until you break the silence, but here we can space these pages out by 1 per day or every other day. Now, these next pages all have the same design. Each one has the new video that's been unlocked, as well as the other video thumbnails below that are still locked, and a comment section. That's it. This will keep things simple, informative, and engaging. Now, one thing that is somewhat necessary with this funnel is that you don't completely, horribly, tragically suck on camera. I'm not saying you need to be a professional either. I mean, we all mess up our lines sometimes, but that's why you invest in a teleprompter. Time to take a look at Jeff Walker, who calls this the sideways sales letter. Whereas most funnels selling expensive products are long and create a journey as the viewer scrolls down, he believes in simply kicking it sideways and breaking it up into videos. Don't know what to put in your video? Here are a few ideas. You could show them the opportunity of how their life will be positively impacted by the information you're sharing. Your life will be positively impacted by the information I'm sharing. You could also position yourself as an authority and explain why they should be listening to you. Respect my authority. Explain how this same opportunity changed your life and why you're sharing it. And finally, bring up the objections your audience may be having and promise to answer them in video too. Here you should focus on crushing objections. Knock down any external disbeliefs they may have about your product by sharing how it works. You could do this by sharing case studies of previous customers, then foreshadow the next page and ask them to comment below. Express how excited you are that they've made it this far. Explain the big view. Take a step back and help them visualize what this can actually do. Foreshadow the next video in a big way. Comment below. 4. Open the door. You can finally present your offer because at this moment, people have received so much value that they're probably eager and ready to buy. The only difference on the layout of this page is there will be a button that allows them to take advantage of this special offer, which takes them to the order form page. Here, they can fill out their information and finally purchase your product. It's best to keep this simple as they've already been sold on the lessons before. They don't need to be resold. You could put in a simple offer stack of everything they'll be getting and the final price. Give them a way to buy and get out of the way. And lastly, the order confirmation page. This will act as a receipt for your customers as well as explain to them how to access what they just bought. And that is the product launch funnel. This method extends the consumption of information over a period of time while educating, nurturing, and inspiring viewers before revealing your product. Now, it's important to note that this funnel works best when scarcity is also a key motivator. You run it for 2 to 4 weeks, then close it. This makes the decision for the people who are on the fence much easier because once it's gone, it's gone. Let's look at some examples real quick before my sushi arrives. With Jump Cut, they say it's not too late to start a YouTube channel, and in this 4-part series, we'll show you how. Or Stu McLaren, he teaches membership site strategy and how it will be the new norm for most businesses. And here's 4 videos that will show you why. Finally, here is one that was done for a charity called Operation Underground Railroad, where they used a 6-part series to explain to potential donors the solution they have before asking them to donate. So there is the PLF funnel. Let us know if you're planning on launching one and any questions you have in the comments. What, no chopsticks?
All right. So, any general questions on that video? Anybody pay the thousands of dollars for Stu McLaren PLF launch stuff before, or have seen that before?
Seen it before,
All right.
but didn't pay for it.
For you, I'm going to do the poor man's version today in 2 slides. So we'll go over that in just a little bit. I want to kind of actually, let me go back to this. Again, we went over that product launch funnel. So we went over this last week. This from the directory simulator. I went ahead and did a visual of this for everybody as well, and then you guys can ask questions if it doesn't make sense to you guys. But we'll show you, exactly how to do that in your BD site today. But the whole premise on this, and there's if you ever listen to Jeff Walker, and he does a lot of free stuff. To be honest, a lot of videos and a lot of educational videos and short snippets that he sends out to people. So he actually has a lot of good insights to items. And so if you want to YouTube him or search for it, he does have a lot of good free content out there for everybody. And it does make money. I mean, his people pay thousands of dollars to see exactly how to do this stuff. And again, it all comes down to execution. But if you guys put some time into it and, really set it up or whatever, a lot of people are successful making a lot of money with these quote launches that he terms for them. And then they just keep building more and more product launches on there. Because the good thing, just like we've talked about before, is once you set this up, it's kind of set, right? As long as you have it all automated. And you just kind of do this one. Hopefully you get some income coming in from that, and you kind of can build up and start doing your other one, and you can kind of relaunch or add on additional, paths or whatever, and do the same thing over and over again. So let me just go over it on the screen here again. You can visually walk through it here, but and I made this on the Directory Simulator page here, and I'll kind of walk through that as well. But you just have an incoming email. Let's say that's what kicks it off. They go to that opt-in page. You kind of tell them what you're going to be starting. And the really interesting thing about this is, and he actually talks about this, is that you can do this before you actually maybe even launch the full product. Tell everybody what you're going to do, and then just kind of, as you're spacing them out, you can actually do the videos after you launch it. Sometimes you can actually get them excited about what you want to do and have a survey on the opt-in page on what they're most excited about looking forward to learning. And then you use the stuff from the survey on the page to actually figure out what people want. And then you actually give them what they want by making the videos and the content about what they had said that they were interested in. And you didn't even have anything when you started. So that's a way to do it as well. So bottom line is you have some opt-in stuff page. You could have a survey on there, but just get them excited, get them signed up with that form. And we've talked about that on other previous webinars on how to set up those forms. You just make a new form with a sign up thing and get their name. Then obviously it goes to a thank you page. We went over that 2 weeks ago and kind of how to set that up after they fill in the form to change and direct them to a thank you page after they sign up. And then once they do that, you now have their email, and then you're going to start providing those 4 pieces of content, which is what I have on here demoed out, where they're going to get an email. And they're delayed by a certain number of days. Now I just put 1, 2, and 1 again, but it could be distributed out over time a little bit more than that. But basically, they're separated out so that it's called drip content. We talked about that before as well, but it just drips it out to their email a little bit over time, and then it has those content pages. If they read the email, click on it, they go to the content pages, and then that is where your video is at in the comment section. And then they just wait on the next email. Again, more content, next email, more content. And then on that last one, like they said in the video, you have that final content page. And then finally, you go ahead and ask for the sale. And so you can kind of see the way I kind of drew it here, the difference between the one we went over last week and this one. It basically, instead of going opt-in page, order form, thank you page, like you're just trying to take them through that cart funnel of selling something, this has this delayed gratification, a kind of a longer sales sequence between them jumping to your page and then going straight to the checkout page. And there's some inherent advantages to that and some psychological factors that make this a very successful process because of psychology. And we're going to go over some of those factors today in the presentation. Any general questions on the flow here? I don't know if this helps you guys from the video, just kind of visualize them. Any questions on how this would normally work for the product launch funnel? Okay. So we'll get to it in a little bit here on how to execute this in the BD site. But first I want to kind of go over some of those psychological factors of why this has been such a successful system for him and for thousands and probably hundreds of thousands. I think he once said that he's talked to over 3 million people and taught this system to them. So he's influenced a lot of business owners in their processes. But here's why this sideways sales funnel or this sales funnel process is so effective. And it all kind of comes down to psychology, and we're going to go over all of these today. So the first one is the rule of reciprocity. So it's the old, you have to give value to get value. And so if you give great stuff to people and people are naturally going to give back to you, it's just inherent. When you are kind to somebody else, they feel like they want to be kind to somebody else. It's the old, paying for the, somebody in the car behind you going through the toll road. They're going to probably do it the same for the next person. They just feel like they owe somebody something because somebody had given stuff to them. I've had that from people listening to the webinar. I've actually had people come up to me like they actually didn't want to buy anything. And I actually had to turn this on for my website because, which I'm fine with it, obviously. They wanted just to support me and support the site, even though they weren't going to buy anything. They just wanted a way to, quote, donate, right? Because they just wanted to give back, and I wasn't really asking anything from them. So I opened up that possibility for people on my join page. So it's just a natural tendency for people to want to do that. And then that intentional giving seed that innate desire to provide something back in return, and that's what they're just going to want to have to do. And so when it comes down to it, any sale that you make for you or your community is really an exchange of value. And so in order to get the sale, the user has to give their side of value to you first, and then they must know that there's an equivalent or higher value that's going to come back in return. And that's how sales and bartering, just from the beginning of time, there's always been some sort of exchange of value. You're never going to pay somebody something for not getting anything in return. And so this is very important too when you're talking about your customer's journey and what you're providing to them in exchange for their money. If you're not providing them the correct amount of items, right, or the correct not correct, but I mean enough value, they're just going to stop subscribing. They're going to churn. They're going to go somewhere else and spend their money somewhere else or go to a different website. So you want to present that value. And when you do, there's an exchange of value there. They're going to pay you that subscription value or the amount for the course or whatever, because they're getting something in return. And then the whole thing is there. Don't compete with your, your customer or whatever. Don't try to see them as a customer. They're part of the community. They're part of your process, right? You both relying on each other, participate in the process together. And when they're part of the process and they see that you're giving them stuff, they're going to have a natural inherent tendency to want to give something back in return. So that's the rule of reciprocity. And that's what the sideways sales funnel does. You give them those first 3 or 4 pieces of content for free. They now know, one, if they're willing to give away this great stuff to me for free, how good is the stuff behind the paid portal, the pay door, right? If this is the free stuff, and again, that's why you always want to give away some of your best stuff, give away some good stuff up front for free. They're going to anticipate that it's just that much better on the other side, and or be willing to give you something in return after giving that seeded content to them over time. The second thing is that it provides the Ben Franklin effect, and so. This is actually from Ben Franklin's autobiography. He basically said in there, he said, it's very simple. If you ask someone for a favor, they're going to like you more. And the reason for that is that people like helping other people. It's just a fact. I mean, there's very few people that are just so upset at the world that they want to hurt everyone in the world. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people like that. But for the most part, people like helping other people. They like feeling like they are able to contribute to someone else's success or help them achieve success or help them get whatever it is. And people like being needed as long as you don't take advantage of them by asking too many favors. So obviously, if you're always going to somebody asking for the same thing and you're never doing anything for them at all, and you're just ask, then they're not going to be, very attuned to doing that. But people like to be asked to do things and knowing that they have something to contribute to you because it makes them feel important. And Benjamin Franklin said, he said, we love what we serve. And so maybe serve is not necessarily the correct term in today's society, but the more you serve something, the more you tend to love it. So even if somebody doesn't like you, for example, when they end up doing a favor for you, they have to find a way in their own mind psychologically to find a way to justify why they like you in order that they feel the need to justify why they're doing you a favor, right? It's almost like unwritten rule that if I'm asking you for a favor and you accept or you're willing to do it, your brain kind of conjures up a more positive thought towards you because it just knows you're doing a favor for somebody, then you must like them or you're willing to do something for them. And just over time, you start to look more favorably on those particular people that you're helping out or that are asking you for favors because it's just psychologically what your brain does. And there's a bunch of studies that prove that. And so when you ask somebody to do a favor for you, it's also a compliment, right? So asking somebody to do a favor is a sign of respect. And so I ask Frank to do stuff for me all the time. I just did this the other day. I had another client that was having a problem with WordPress, and I trusted him enough to share him with my other client, kind of open that door potential for some future stuff. But I trusted him to fix the problem, and I asked him a favor to do something for me, and he did that. So if I didn't trust Frank or any of his skill set, there's no way I would even ask him to do that, right? I mean, just think about that. If you don't inherently trust somebody, you're not going to ask them for a favor because either they're not going to do it right, or you don't think they're going to do it correctly, or you just don't even think they're going to do it at all. So asking them for a favor is actually a sign of respect, and they kind of know that. You're letting that person know that you like and respect them, and then go back to the reciprocity thing. If you're doing that to them, they're more likely to kind of do that to you, and that's kind of where business connections come in too. And why LinkedIn is so popular is people link or one person to another. They ask for a favor and then they get something in return. So it's that reciprocity as well, the barter, the trade back and forth that makes it successful. But psychologically, when somebody does a favor for you, they're more actually prone to like you. And so when you ask them in a video, hey, can you go ahead and leave a comment in the comments? If you ask them in the next video to go ahead and share that with somebody else, if you got something from these other 2 videos, go ahead and share this video to somebody else, and they do it. Over time, as you get those 3 or 4 emails before you, psychologically, they like you more and more. And so when you get to the end and you ask them for them to purchase, in theory, right, they like you so much, they're going to buy.
Ryan?
Yes.
There is one problem with the Ben Franklin theory, though.
Okay, go ahead.
I really don't like you. I'm just real aware of your shortcomings.
Okay. Well, it's mutual, for one. And 2, stop taking over my presentation. I'm just joking.
And you haven't gotten my invoice yet either, so.
I asked for it. At the time, and there's like a limitation on that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a minute.
But you're right about that whole thing. I mean, I've experienced that in my business, just doing stuff for free. But again, you can't be taken advantage of if you're too nice to people.
Right. I know that was pointed at me. I appreciate that, though. I'll take that. I'll write that down. I'll try to be meaner. Although there are some people in the Facebook group that think I was stonewalling them, which I don't. So if I do not get back to anybody in the group, contact me. I'm not intentionally not replying. So the next one is foot in the door. So this is the psychological theory, basically, that one small step leads to the next, right? It's the whole domino effect. I'm sure, I don't remember what the math is, but because of all the potential energy of dominoes that are stood up, I think every domino that falls over can actually knock over a domino that is like half again as tall as the previous domino. And so you do the math on that, and just by tipping over one domino, you theoretically could knock over like the Empire State Building kind of thing, after a certain amount of things, assuming that the Empire State Building was not actually attached to the ground. But you guys get the point that it's just a domino effect that if you do one small thing for somebody, there's actually an increased likelihood that they're going to do something larger for you after doing something small, because it's one of those things where it's if they've never asked or done anything for them and they ask you to do one thing, that small thing, it may seem big, but when they've already done something smaller, the next bigger thing is, again, just one small step up from where they were before. It's the same reason why people get addicted to things, or why things start spiraling out over time. Because if you looked at where you were at now versus where you were at the beginning, you would never make that journey. Or maybe you would be surprised at your success, for example, too. Like you know so much more now than you did at the beginning because you kind of baby stepped and you learned stuff, and so you're amazed at what you can do now when you didn't think you could do anything when you started. So it applies to a lot of things in life, but especially here as well for the favor piece. They have a tendency to increase likelihood to do stuff if you ask for smaller items. So in those videos, if you're going to do that, maybe ask for something smaller, like, hey, add a comment. The next one, hey, forward it to a friend. The next one, hey, can go ahead and if you don't mind, I don't know, whatever the next one is. I didn't really think that out, but just do the ratio there. Ask for bigger, and then when you get to that last video, you're going to ask for the sale, and it's not going to seem as tall of an order in their brain as it did if you asked them right when they landed on the page and said buy now for $2.99. It's going to be for the next 2 hours, or you're out. They may not buy it, but maybe after the that week and a half of dripping sequences, maybe they will. This is the whole reason why you do the try then buy, right? It's easier to sign up to a plan that has a 14-day free trial in theory than it would without it, because they know that you're not charging them for 2 weeks. I can go kick the tires, go look at whatever's in here for 2 weeks, and if I don't like it, I'm out, I'm canceling, and then I'm never going to get charged. But then when they're already in the system, it's a lot easier for them to not cancel or to not purchase because they've made that baby step. Maybe it's a little bit easier to upgrade once they're in there. Some people like to do this with their directory where they have a cheaper entry into the directory. It's only $5. That's all I offer. You can't even get the higher one just by going to the join page. It's $5 for everybody. And then I upsell after that, because now that they're in my ecosphere, I don't know if that's a word. Now that they're in my sphere of influence, how about that? Then it's easier for them to buy them and upsell them later. So try then buy is another example. But just getting people to agree to do it is enough to increase the likelihood of them performing the larger task. And there's some different studies that have shown that. And then some of the studies have also shown that they're more likely to agree to a larger request if there's a reasonable time interval between the two. So it's kind of one of those, there's just time. They know that your email is coming back. They expect it. They see the email. You're not going away. You're there. You're a business person. They keep coming back to them. If there's a reasonable time between there, again, to let those psychological factors kick in, they're actually more likely to purchase or do that larger task ask. So foot in the door, baby step, domino theory. That's another psychological factor that this sideways sales funnel does. The next one is exposure effect. And this is kind of like the other one, but it basically is the repetition in time leads to familiarity, and the familiarity is the key word there, as is trust. So just by repeating stuff over and over, sending that same email once on Monday, every Monday for 4 weeks, or just by having them watch that video of you talking or explaining something, or doing any of those other examples of stuff that you could provides that trust. They start building the trust, and that is ultimately the influence in somebody's life, or influence for them to purchase, because they trust you. They trust your company. They think that you can actually execute and perform what you said you can do, that you show them examples of other people that have done it. So now they trust that you have done it for them. They can now help you. So that repeated interaction with your prospects is what provides that trust. And then the familiarization can help avoid that rejection reflex when somebody is asking for the sale. So although these are pretty familiar to people on how these work nowadays, technically when there's no mention of sales on the page, they don't actually, they probably know you're going to ask them for something eventually, but they don't know that what you're going to sell them at the end potentially, because it just you don't really say. Maybe you allude to that and what they could get or whatever, but they don't know the price. They don't know what the final offer is going to be. So initially, without having that familiarity of trust, there's going to be an initial rejection reflex when they ask for the sale of like, it costs that much, or you want that for what? Or are you serious? Or maybe that's too good to be true. Maybe it's the opposite. It's too good to be true. Like, that's all that costs. Like, you can do all that for that much money. I don't even trust you can do that. Like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you offer it for that much? So either way on those, that familiarization can help that rejection reflex. And then, again, back to studies that have shown that we actually prefer things that we have been exposed to in the past. It's the whole advertisement basis for advertisement. When you see a bunch of ads for an item, I may not even care. I'm not even interested in buying Doritos, right? I'm not even looking for a snack. I saw a Doritos commercial on the Super Bowl. I don't even I'm not even buying snacks. But the next time I'm at the store and I'm walking down the snack aisle and I see a bunch of random brands and my eyes swing past the Doritos bag, there's a higher propensity, and they know that if I saw the commercial, that my eyes are going to stop on the Doritos bag, even if I don't want them, because I just recognize that I've seen that before. And if I have no propensity to go towards another chip, I may just go, you know what? I'll try those. I don't even remember what the commercial was about, but I just remember seeing a Doritos commercial. I'll go ahead and try those. So that's the basis for any psychological things on advertisement, is just to get brand recognition. So you prefer or potentially are willing to try something later, just because you've seen them in the past. And then it also has shown that your preference increases as your exposure does. All right. And so the more you see something over time, whether, again, you realize it or not, you actually prefer that over another just because of exposure. That's the reason why you like things potentially that your parents liked, because that's just what you had growing up or what you were exposed to. And so you have a propensity not to try other things or propensity to go for that over something else just because you're familiar with it. So same thing psychologically happens with with your purchase and your items. When they see stuff over and over again, when they get the opportunity to buy, they're going to be more likely to make that purchase. The next thing is curiosity and sneak peeks, right? Everybody loves a good sneak peek of something that they could potentially get, right? Especially if there are advantages or something they like. So show them what is possible in those emails, right? Let them know that you are the key to getting them there or getting more of that, right? And then give them that first step and then tell them how to get to the next step. So that's how you sequence through those emails. You provide curiosity, you give them something really good, and you're like, all right. And so you always leave that cliffhanger like you do in scenes of a movie or the trailer for a movie. Well, if that excites you, the next thing you're going to need to know how to do that is action on that. And in the next email, look for it next Monday. We're going to go over how you can utilize this to garner new business for your directory, right? And so you kind of set the stage after you give them stuff, what's coming next. So they're like, I want what's next. And then you're like, and it'll be in your email box next Monday. And so now you're looking for it. And because you got that sneak peek, you now want to know what's next. And again, they're now relying on you. They're actually expecting it. And that leads to the next thing where the sales letter actually does is leads to anticipation, right? So there's fewer things that capture our attention and imagination more than anticipation. Everybody here knows it. If it's something you don't think you can have, you want it, right? If it's something that's coming next week, you want it now. It builds anticipation to create that unfilled need and desire, and they actually start to feel like they need your product. And then when it gets to the point where they can actually purchase the product, they've already made up in their mind that they need it because you kind of told them that they did and they believe you. And it has that powerful pull into the content where you focus their attention on that one date, right? We are launching on 1 March. They keep reading that and watching your marketing. And they're looking for your stuff or maybe focus on you instead of a competitor because they know that something big is coming up on the 1st of March. They're looking forward to it, anticipating. And then you may, here's an example on the left here of something that again, this is what Jeff does for all of his products. He opens up the period of time for a little bit of window and then it closes and then you have to sign up to be notified when you're going to get the opportunity to get in there again, because it may come, it may not, but you just we'll sign up and we'll let you know when it opens back up. BD does this all the time as well, right? You probably got those emails saying, hey, the sale is going to start next week. Let us know what you're thinking about. Oh, hey, the sale just started. It's going to close down. It's a Black Friday sale. It's not going to be good. The next time this is going to come around is next Black Friday or the next sale period, and you don't want to, miss out on that. So anticipation is key. And so when they start looking at those events on the calendar, they start getting excited, hopefully, and purchase your stuff. So that leads to the next one. That's event based. So if you have that date on the calendar circled, right? Maybe there's a big event. Maybe you actually do a big event, a virtual event. People love events and feeling like they're part of something larger than themselves. It's the old everybody's jumping into the room on the same day. Hopefully, that's kind of what we're here. Hopefully, here on the webinar, right? Everybody likes one-on-one, but they like hearing from other people instead of just hear me jabber jaw all the time, right? They want to hear other people what they're experiencing, what they're doing well. And the community effort, right, is what gets them excited. And so when people go through an event together, it creates some of those most powerful experiences that that humans can have, right? That's why we remember trips with people, right? We remember big life events that we did with other people. That's what really, solidifies stuff in our brain. So if you can get it around an event, have a launch, do everybody in the same, maybe one of those 3 things is like an intro, and then everybody jumps in a webinar, or we then talk about that. And again, we set that flag in the stone of like next week it's going live. All the big named people do that, and you can do that easily for your thing as well. So getting involved with the community helps people get excited about an event. And so that's the next one there, is the community or social support, the other psychological factor that can help you out. So people act in accordance with community norms, right? And so when you're in a big group, people will actually look to other people for clues on how to act. And when you're part of that community, people feel like they're not alone, right? They're going to do what everybody else does. When you add the community comments on your videos and say, hey, everybody comment in here, and you start seeing other people comment, you're like, well, I'm not the only one in here. There's other people that are commenting on here the same thing I want. Maybe we're bouncing each other's our ideas off each other. So if we feel part of that community, we'll perform in accordance with the expectations of that community. So if they're buying it, they're like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm buying this thing. And you're like, well, I guess I want to buy it too. Everybody does the same thing. It's the group think. Everybody knows the group think is real. If you get in that group, if some people do it, other people are more likely to do it as well. And so virtual, I guess I missed one of the quotations at the beginning there. Virtual communities, can be really strong because everybody feels like they can automatically belong, right? Who didn't feel like they belonged when they got into the BD directory Facebook group, right? Like it's a closed Facebook group and everybody in there has a directory or is thinking about doing a directory. So you're like, yes, they're all me. I can ask questions to everybody there because they're all doing the same thing as me. There's a natural tendency to want to do that. And so that trigger is based on the human psychology of wanting to solve problems and build relationships and be with other people. And if part of that product, right, is involving yourself with other people that are doing the same thing, and there's a community aspect of that, or you have that for your directory or your product, people are going to want to be a part of that because they caught a glimpse of the people that are leaving comments, and they're like, I want more of this with more of these people for more time. Where do I sign up? And so people want to be part of a community. The other thing they start to do is they start to compare themselves to other people, right? And so if there are other people that are commenting that they've already taken or done or used another product of yours, that they've already liked what they saw from your directory, from the package, and now they're jumping on this new launch thing for the bigger package. They start comparing themselves to other people. And so we're designed to, understand ourselves and that like self-reflect on where we're at, vice where somebody else is at, or the success that they've had. And that's one of our defining characteristics of being human. We like to self-reflect. And so, in other words, we have that fundamental need to evaluate ourselves. And the only way to do that normally is in reference to somebody else, right? And so the picture here has the little ramen rice bowl, vice the guy with money, throwing cash out everywhere he goes because he's got so much money, right? You inevitably compare yourself to somebody else. And when those other people are directory owners or other website owners, you do that in comparisons with them as well, that if they're joining, I feel like I need to join too because I need to match their intensity or what they're doing. And so we do that even when the comparisons aren't meaningful, right? We do it for everything, even when they make us unhappy or they don't make us better, smarter, or more productive. We still do the comparisons just because it's an actual psychological thing that we just inherently do as humans. And so in 1954, this guy called Leon Festinger discovered this, and he coined that concept social comparison theory. And it's one of the biggest contributions to the field of social psychology in any of these salesmanship books and stuff. He basically pointed out the tendency that we compare ourselves to another person actually decreases as the difference between our opinion or ability and the other person's increases. And so let me say that again. Our tendency to compare ourselves decreases when we don't, when the gap between us and the other person starts to increase. And so what you want to do in these videos is give examples of other people or them, like people in their situation, of other people that have bought your program. You want to describe your niche and who those people are and say, are you doing this? Are you struggling with this? Are you in this situation where you don't know how to do X? And then every time that they hear them say, check a box, it goes, yes. Well, yes, that's me. Yeah, of course I felt that, right? As soon as they start checking all those boxes, that difference starts to decrease, and they actually start to increase their comparison tendency. And so if you don't give a reason to say why this is perfect for them, or give out some reasons for them to check the boxes of why, they're not actually going to buy at the end, because they're not inclined to think that they need that, because they're just not really going to compare themselves to that. But as soon as you say, this is the struggle that every directory owner goes over, right? And you go, yes, I did that too. Now they start to compare themselves to everybody else and those problems and realize that they have that. And so when you offer up the solution at the end, they're going to be more likely to buy. So that kind of ties in with the next one about feeling like everybody else, is that there's a psychological feeling of social conformity, that human beings are social creatures, and we're basically programmed to connect deeply with everybody else in the pack, right? So if everybody on the webinar here today feels like they're part of the pack or the group or the social norm, then they're going to be more connected with that. And that connectivity comes with intense expectation to be similar to the pack. And so everybody else buys X, or Y, or Z, or goes to see a certain movie, or reads a certain book, or whatever it is. You want to keep up with your pack. You're going to be more, you don't want to be that coffee cup right in the middle that's red. You want to be the white coffee cup like everybody else. That's why everybody faces the front of the elevator, that whole thing, right? If people feel weird if you walk in the elevator and face the back and never turn around, they start looking around and wonder what they're doing wrong. And you've probably seen the videos of that, where people just start following everybody else, and they'll actually, if a group of people walk onto the elevator and they're all facing the back and they're facing the normal way, even if it does not make any sense, everybody always turns around and faces the front of the elevator, right? But if everybody else in there was facing the back, there's videos of people doing this, they'll actually turn around and face the back, even though that's not what they normally do, just so they don't feel like an oddball. So that is the same thing that social conformity can do for you in the sale process. If everybody else is buying, then they'll probably want to buy that as well. Now, speaking of buying what everybody else wants to buy, that kind of dovetails into the next psychological thing of authority and social influence. So authority is that, perceived authority, I guess I would say, perceived authority makes the message more influential, right? Just because I'm presenting the webinar makes it look like I'm like I know something, otherwise I wouldn't be telling you, right? If you are telling somebody and you have a website, or you have a directory, right, around your niche that you guys are doing, nobody else that's going there has a directory about that niche. You have it, right? And so just by the mere fact that you are the perceived authority on that, people are going to listen, provide some position and influence, right? And so hopefully you can take advantage of some of that authority in a way that your brain has evolved to make decisions more effectively. That if you tell them that it's going to be good, I mean, don't lie, right? You're providing a service or a product to them, but just by telling them it's worked for other people, make sure it has, obviously. But by you telling them this stuff, you have some authority there and can sway their decision. So make sure that you're matter of fact on here. Tell them what it's done for other people or what it could do. Provide what you're going to provide them, all the experience you have. A lot of people have a lot of background experience on these niches doing these directories, and this happens all the time where they have so much experience, but they don't put that to paper or actually say like I have over 25 years of experience in this field. Like they don't put that on their directory. People want to know that. They want to know that like you are the sage on the stage. Like you've been there, you've done that. It's not just like a random directory. I'm the authority on this thing right here. I know how to knit dog sweaters, right? There's no other dog knitting sweater directory on the internet. That's me. I know exactly how to do that. So I don't really, but if anybody knows how to knit sweaters for dogs, let me know, and I'd like to learn. But you got to present yourself on the authority, right? And then they're going to listen to you. It results in changes of behavior because of that perceived knowledge or trust in your opinion, right? It's just it makes it they trust you more to buy, and it makes that message more influential, and it subconsciously makes our decisions more efficient, right? If I trust you and I look at your background and you tell me it's good, I'm more likely just inherently to believe that that's true and to make that decision to buy. The other thing it does is where social influencers come in, right? For consumers who sometimes you experience or want to be part of a pack, or people that follow a certain celebrity or whatever, they feel an innate subconscious obligation to keep up with their activities, to read all their tweets, to do whatever they say to do. Whether it be the going to DC and trying to cause ruckus because somebody said something, right? That's a big one in the politics now. Or somebody says, for example, I think it was who's the guy that has the Tesla? What's his name? Anyway, he said something about Bitcoin the other day, that he likes Bitcoin or something, and just by him tweeting out that he liked Bitcoin, like the sales of stock of Bitcoin like jumped 20% or something like that, just because he said he liked it, and people just followed him like, okay, well, you said you like it, I guess I want to buy it.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, Musk. There you go. Thanks, Rich. So Elon Musk, but again, everybody, it's the old Kardashian effect, right? Just because she said she likes the product, sales of that product go through the roof because she says she uses a certain perfume or whatever, right? So the influencers, they have that halo effect, right? It's that phenomenon that whatever you say makes sense. I follow you. I'm just going to do whatever you say. And sometimes it just doesn't even make rational sense, right? I mean, to people, like, why would you do that just because they said the jump and you jump? Why would you do that? But people do, right? And so you don't want to do it to the obviously, I'm not comparing necessarily everybody here to a celebrity, but just realize that that's where that comes from, right? That if you have social influence, if people watch what you're doing, just by you asking them to do it, or just by you saying this is what may work for you, they're more likely to actually do it. So if they don't trust you to do it, right? If they don't trust you, they don't know who you are. People want social proof or testimonials, right? People don't want to be the first person to test something or do something alone, right? Unless it's somebody famous and it's like, I trust you as a famous person, or I know you have enough clout, I'm just going to do what you want. If they don't trust you, I don't know who you are yet. You always want to backfall on social proof or testimonials from other people that have already been there and done that. Because if you have the testimonials and we see other people's doing something that they've had success, we're more inclined to make a similar decision on that as well. So if we see people doing something, we're more apt to execute. And I've shown you guys this before. Again, since I know Rich and Frank are on the call today, and I figured they would be. I'll put this up here, right, on my testimonials page for my but if you go to directorytoolkit.com/testimonials, right, I got an entire wall of testimonials. And for the people that don't know who I am or never used my business or haven't experienced me, that has made conversions, right? If people said, I looked at your testimonials, I maybe don't trust you, but I trust the other 45 people that are on your testimonials board, right? And the confluent trust from everybody there, right, that I get is enough to push me over the edge. So you can do the same thing for your directory. You can do the same thing in those email messages when you send out, or on those pages, just to say, if you're describing some of the things on the video page, then you could then go, well, it's not just me. There's hundreds of other people that have done this, and here's a couple of those testimonials, and just put that right on the page. The other thing that people love is sometimes people are distrustful. They don't trust you. They don't trust the testimonials anymore because they think they're fake. So there's nothing better than to actually show a demo or a live example of that for them, because maybe they don't know the product. They don't know what it can do for them. But if they see, the old seeing is believing, right? If they see a demo, and this is why I do demos on the show here all the time for webinar. If you see what it can do, it's a lot easier. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video or a live demo is worth 1,000,000. They can see that it's going to work for them, or they can see that it's easy to fill out a profile. They can see that it only takes 2 minutes to fill it out. They can see how they're going to get the lead from your directory on where they're going to get that information. And then it's the old monkey see, monkey do. If they see you do it in 2 minutes, they're like, well, maybe it can take 5 for me, but that didn't look that hard. I'm going to go ahead and try that. Now, it can have the opposite effect, right? And you guys, I've probably done this to you guys a couple times, where you realize, you know what, that's probably a little bit more complicated than I want to do right now, or that is more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to hold off. So you can have the opposite effect, but just realize that it's a lot easier. They can have a better analysis of what you're trying to sell with them if you actually give a live demo or show them what it has done for other people. Show them the results. Show them what you are able to provide, some examples. And if you like those examples, there's like hundreds more behind the door if you just subscribe to the membership, etc. So, because we all know that words can cover up for actual functionality, or the old somebody describes who somebody is or whatever, and then you see them in person and you're like, that is not who I expected that to be. Who were you talking about when you described that person, right? It's just sometimes you can, and it's just that same way for web pages, right? It can be so glossy and can look so good that that live example can make the determination for you a lot easier than just somebody putting words on paper. And then it also helps you mentally. This is the psychological part, where when you see it live, when you see somebody doing it, or if you do a hands-on thing, right, you actually get in there and do a demo, you can see yourself using that in the future, or seeing yourself being able to have results by using that. It's just easier to click the buy button at the end because you're like, I see this working, and you just positive mental look out there. You just think it's going to succeed. So not only can you see the success, but the other side of that is you can also see what you're going to lose, or the negative part if you don't get that. So this is the whole Cyber Monday sale, right? Don't miss it. The psychological thing here is that the losses hurt more than the actual equivalent gains. There was actually a study a while back of how people buy cars. And those researchers discovered that when people are presented with a fully loaded model car and subtract features, like remove features from a more expensive car, they actually spent more than the people who were presented with a cheap base model and asked to add features. And why is that? Because adding features feels like a gain, but removing features feels like a loss. And it's actually harder to feel that loss than to feel the gain by adding something. And so they actually found out that they made more money on the cars if they kind of went rolled in with the high thing and stepped them down, than if they gave them the load thing and added the features on. So something to think about, right? And I often don't do this for directors, don't talk about this much, but maybe you'd make more money getting a few higher paid clients by offering up the full kit and caboodle and then having them downgrade later if it doesn't work out for them, than trying to get them in for $5 a month and try to upgrade them later. Because again, you get one person in for $100 a month, that just equated to 20 people you tried to convince to get $5 a month in the door, and now that's 20 people that you got to worry about instead of one. So there's a lot of psychological things there too. You may want to potentially try to think about that other aspect. Another example is that they did in research is flipping a coin. If I told you, if we flipped a coin, I'm going to give you $10 if it's heads, or you give me $10 if it's tails. How many people would actually do that? Like a 50-50. If it's heads, I get 10, or I'll give you 10. If it's tails, you give me 10. Nobody's going to do it. Why not? Because the loss is more detrimental to your brain than the gain, and you just don't want to do it. So these psychological researchers actually figured this out, and they figured out that before the average person would actually flip the coin and make the deal, you had to offer them $22.50 was the average for you to gain if it's heads, for that same $10 loss that you'd have to pay me if it was tails. So $22.50 to 10, the 2.25 to 1 ratio was what it took people to avoid that loss to make the decision. So think about that. The loss is always more painful than the gain. So what you want to do is when you tell them that the sale is ending soon, or it's their last chance, or that the product is going away forever, people are going to behave in the same way, that they're going to take action because they feel the loss. They don't want to have that loss in their life. And so we tell them it's happening. They want to do the deal because they don't want to have to feel that loss. They'd rather feel the gain and give you the money than to have to feel the loss. So here's some examples of, and they actually feel that loss of their future money spent too. And that's the funny thing, is they feel the loss of future money that they haven't even lost yet because you're telling them they're going to lose it. And so they'll actually give you money because they fear the loss of future money that they don't even have yet. And so here's a couple examples on the thing here, like a mystery bonus giveaway, right? We're going to give away a secret bonus only to those members who attend. Or if I say, I'm going to give everybody something free at the end of this webinar, if you stay to the end, who's going to be more likely to stay? If I tell you I'm going to give you something free at the end of the webinar, they're probably going to be more likely to stay. Limited capacity, right? Don't miss out due to limitations. There's a certain number of spots, so you want to get in there early. Register below limited time. You guys get the thing there, but it's the fear of missing out, right? You do not want to miss the train. You don't want to be the only one who didn't buy. You don't want to get to the page the second after the clock went to 0. You do not want to refresh the page and have that offer not be there, right? Now, and this one is huge. So the next one is also kind of a subsequent thing to fear of missing out, and that's the framing effect. And we've talked about this before on the pricing model of comparing it to something else, but you want to compare the positive to the negative. And this seems harsh, but it's the truth when you're describing this, is that you want to magnify the pain, make the cost real, present, and unbearable. And what I mean by that is you want to tell them, it's called pushing on the pain. You don't want them to come to your page initially and say, hey, do you have this problem? And then never address that problem at the end. You want to continually talk about the issues they're having throughout these 4 different, sequences, because you want them to know that, like, every time you get in there, remind them that they have a problem. Like, if the first thing you're like, do you have this problem? And they're like, yes. And they watch the next video and you're like, remember when you had that problem, and you talk about other people have had this problem too, and this is what it could cause, right? These are the negative effects that could happen if you don't take care of this. And they're like, whoa, I didn't think about that. So the next thing that comes are like, remember when we talked to you about all the negative things that could happen? Here's some of the positive things that could happen. John over here knew that negative stuff was going to happen. He took the course, and here is all the positive things that happened to him. And then in the last thing, you say, remember when you had that problem and we talked about all the things that were going to happen, but you could turn around that thing just by taking this course. Now we're going to open this up, and for today only, not only are you going to get that positive benefits, but you're going to get it for half price because this is a special launch deal. It's only, you just kind of walked them through that whole thing, and you kind of framed it, right? You kept reminding them of the problem, showed them what they could be and where they could go. And you frame it, and now the decision is made a little bit easier for you. So that's called the framing effect. It's psychologically reminding them that they have a problem, that they want to avoid the negative stuff, and you're the way to get to solve their pain. And today only, because again, fear of missing out, we've already talked about. The next thing, again, this kind of comes down to the pricing model sometimes, but it's called the decoy effect or anchoring. And so now when you say, hey, it's today only, but I'm going to give you a couple options, right? You have a couple different packages that you can get. Adding that third option sometimes makes it more appealing for the other option, and you have that anchoring effect where that much larger potential future cost, right, makes it easier to pick the choice now, or the much bigger package makes the middle of the road package seem a little bit more bearable, right? So when you look at the piggies on the screen here, right, maybe if you just didn't have the big piggy there and you're just comparing the big one to the middle to the one on the left, people are comparing the packages and go, am I willing to pay the little bit of money more for that next up higher pig? It doesn't seem that much bigger. Am I worth, parting with that money? But now I just threw that huge piggy bank right on the right, and suddenly that middle pig does not seem that big anymore, right? And instead of comparing the small pig to the middle pig, you're now comparing the middle pig to the huge pig. And you kind of forgot about that other little pig. You're comparing it and going, that's anchoring. It's kind of showing this huge. I can't afford that huge package, but you know what? That one in the middle, it's the Goldilocks thing, right? That looks just right. And so it's basically asymmetrical domination is what it's called there in the decoy effect, but it influences you without really knowing it. You're comparing it to the alternatives, and it's manipulating your key choice attributes to steer you in a particular direction and feeling like you made a rational, informed choice, when in reality, that's what you were actually trying to get them to do the entire time. So price anchoring, decoy effect for something. And then we've talked about this before as well. Sometimes there's people that are just going to want to pay for the huge thing. Like, I want the one-on-one stuff. I want the white glove onboarding. I want the done for you blankety blank, right? Whatever it is, I'm going to pay that big money. And all of a sudden, the thing that you didn't think people were going to pay for, you just had a couple of people pay for it. And just like I said before, you get one person buying this big piggy. How many little piggies does it take to equate to that bigger one? A lot, right? So even if some people do go for that, you price it for your time and money that it still makes sense for you to do it, and you may make more money by not offering that decoy. So it may not end up being the decoy, right? It may actually be the real enchilada there that makes a lot of money, and then you maybe down or disincentivize people from getting the smaller ones because now you're focusing on the big picture there. So here's one real life example here that gets used all the time. This was a Williams and Sonoma bread machine sale. And originally they just had in their advertisements, the Cuisinart one there for $275. And the sales were terrible. They're abysmal. People were looking at that going, why would I pay $275 for a bread machine? And they weren't getting any sales. So they actually changed in the magazine, the Williams and Sonoma. They added the Breville one, the higher expensive one that had similar features as the $275 one, stainless steel, 2-pound loaf, automated whatever settings, right? Pretty much exactly the same stuff, but Breville was a higher end, maybe a little bit higher finishing quality, thicker metal, right? Maybe a couple extra features, but that was the higher end model, and it cost more, right? Because it was a better name brand or higher end stuff. But just because it had the same features and they put it on there and that's $429, people started looking at the Cuisinart as a deal. They're like, this is pretty much the same bread maker, but look at that. It's $275 compared to $429. What a deal. And they actually, like, the sales went through the roof for the $275 Cuisinart bread machine that they couldn't pay somebody to buy last time, all because they anchored the price and the features with something that was a lot more expensive. Same bread machine, same price, double the sales because they changed that other bookend on there. So think about that as you're doing those offers too, and that can psychologically make that decision that much easier for somebody. We kind of talked about this one as well already, but so I'll go through this one pretty fast. Limited time or deadline, right? People are born procrastinators until they're given an ultimatum to buy, and because it's too easy for them to look the other way and go somewhere else, right? So forcing a decision framework gets them to trigger. If you have a date, an event, we're going to open this up for a week and then it's gone. It's not coming back till next year. It's legit. It's a limited time and it's a deadline, and they know you've done that before or with a different product, or you just tell them you're going to do it and actually do it, they're going to buy because they can't just go back there next week and get that same thing, right? It's going to be gone. So you want to pick an actual time. It can't be shifting or a vague time frame. You can still get sales and stuff on there if it is shifting, right? But obviously, if you're true to your word, it does stop. People have a tendency to actually buy right then. Drives the urgency, right? Limited time offer works like a charm on online shoppers for the most part, because it gives your prospects a compelling reason to make a purchase by driving urgency right then, right? The internet's kind of a weird thing, right? It's an unknown on whether you can get that same deal next time. If I hit the refresh on the page right now, is that even going to load the same content? Am I even going to get the same? Is the coupon even going to be valid the next time I go? Was that a one-time use thing? Is it even going to work? If you go to a brick and mortar store, it's always going to be there, right? You printed out a sales thing and it's in the window. When I come back tomorrow, it's probably going to be there. There's just more certainty there. The internet's kind of unknown, right? And so you can use that to your advantage. Use a countdown timer. Rich may recognize this one, but put a countdown timer on there, right? Tell them there's a deadline, a limited time, and people are going to more likely be willing to buy. And not only on the timeline, but you could do it on the limit, right? Maybe there's only a certain number of slots. I kind of went over this on another slide as well. But when there's less of something, it makes us more interested and people inherently want it more, right? If if everybody wants to use the product and there's only a certain supply, you want it more. When there's no toilet paper in the store, right? Everybody suddenly wants to buy toilet paper and goes hoarding the toilet paper because they know somebody told them that there was a limited supply of toilet paper. And I don't care I don't even know why I want toilet paper. I'm getting in the car right now and I'm driving and buying an entire shopping cart full of toilet paper because there's not going to be any more, right? I mean, that's the whole scarcity thing that we saw and are still seeing with various things for COVID, right? So if there's limited spots available to keep the instruction intimate, right? That fear of missing out, there's scarcity. There's only a certain number of slots. If it's an event-based thing, there's some natural limits to scarcity there because they know it's a limited time event. I'm only doing the webinar this one particular day. You guys have probably seen all of those things in the emails before. So scarcity, if you can provide that in your sales stuff, that is something that can lead to increased sales. And then the final one here is action and conversation, right? And so it all comes down to, in the end, that they know, like, and trust, right? The KLT, know, like, and trust somebody, that there's somebody else that's real, that's a real community, that has real success, right? I'm not sure if this person on the other end of the phone, she does look a little robotish, but it goes back to the people want to hear somebody real on the other side of the phone, right? They want to know somebody is there for them. If you're always there, you're in a video, you're presenting stuff to them. You have that likability factor that people will generally like to do business with you rather than a big faceless corporation, right? If you show them there's a real person behind the offer, somebody is really behind the phone. If it's a real person behind the chat, right? People do business with the people they know, like, and trust. And circle back around to that first slide that we talked about people getting used to you over time, right? They want to buy from a friend or take recommendations from somebody they trust more than a random faceless corporation. And if you make it a two-way conversation, not a one-way, you reply to the comments, right, that are put into the actual directory. You reply to people's emails. You go to that live session or whatever and you talk and they're like, wow, there's a real person. He's selling a real product here. It's not just a sales page. People are going to be more likely to buy from you guys. So the more exposure, more interaction, more conversation. If they know, like, and trust you, they're going to be more likely to buy from you guys. So that's all of them, guys. I know there's a ton of them there, but these are all things that you guys can use when you're structuring the wording, the emails, the video content, right, to try to get people to potentially go to the next step into buy your product. Any questions on any of those, or any comments or experiences with any of those, or Anything you guys think rings true more than others, or hasn't really ever influenced you, or anything like that? Any comments from you guys?
I guess just
Anybody want to? Yeah, go ahead.
just a comment I had, like that last slide in particular. I guess that's one thing I've been impressed by BD as far as Jason's, like, even just commenting in the groups, and even the webinars that they offer consistently, and like, you can look forward to them or anticipate them. But I think that's probably served them well over time to develop all those things.
Speaking of anticipation, was there supposed to be a webinar yesterday?
Yeah, we waited.
I thought.
I didn't see any mention.
I didn't get a reminder.
Maybe it was just me. I thought there was supposed to be a webinar yesterday, and I kept refreshing it. I'm like, did I get kicked out? Was I too late? I didn't see one. I went to the directory, kind of talking about anticipation. I was like, no, I don't see any mention about here. Did anybody else show up or think it was a webinar?
Yeah, Ryan, Toby, I did. I got it in my calendar, and every time I clicked on it, it said starting in 13 days. And then I put various comments on the group and everything, and never got a reply.
I recall him saying something that there wasn't one, like there was a bit of a delay because I don't know, I can't remember. But it's a bad example.
But you guys see that? You guys see that, right? You have that in natural tendency. Like, even if you didn't think there was a webinar, like, how many of us, if we got in there, were like, oh, I guess there's not a webinar this week. I'll join next time. What did you do? Toby went to the forum, like, asked a question, right? Everybody's like, where's it at? I want the webinar, right? You have a natural tendency to want to go see that stuff. So
it was gone midnight. That's why I wanted to know.
What was that?
It was gone midnight, so that's why I wanted to know why I'd waited.
Well, they say FOMO is real, fear of missing out. So,
yeah.
I guess what I'm thinking about is, certainly that the site and the two sites I'm connected to, and the launch phase that we're in, it's like, it just seems like that's all encompassing as far as even the iterations that happen every day. But I just feel like there's like dedicated focus and time that needs to be placed on the development of these channels and strategies. Like, that's like a whole other side piece of the equation that needs focus. And it's really difficult to be doing all of these things. Like, I mean, it'll be heavy lifting to get it set up, but once set up, it's just making a priority.
Yeah, I mean, it does take some time, right, to do it. But again, these don't have to be rocket science stuff, right? I mean, you can just record a quick video, to show how to do something, or whatever. So, and just put it on your web of just a few pages. And again, it doesn't have to be a ton of content. You could just write up a script real quick, record your video talking, put the video on a page, and then just send that out to them, 4 weeks in a row, trying to get them involved in your Facebook group or whatever, and kind of use a couple of those things in your talking points. And again, and something Jeff would always say too, and I'm in that same boat where things just get better over time, right? You kind of start out, very rudimentary, and like the next time you do that, or the next time you present something, is just you do it a little bit better. But that shouldn't prevent you from doing it. I guess the cheaper, faster version at first, if it's going to help make some sales. But
there's a great book on that topic. There's a great book on the topic called "Start Ugly," is the actual title of the book. So just getting started. But I have a theory on last night's webinar, because I had it on my recurring calendar, and they've never missed one unless they announced, a holiday or something like that. But Ryan, I shared with you a bug that there was 2 bugs I saw. I don't know if anybody else saw them yesterday on the site. One was from members' dashboards. They weren't able to, update any of their profile information, their categories, their logo. Every time you went there, it just went to a blank page. I submitted a ticket, and they worked on it as a bug in a matter of minutes. Whatever they said, it was kind of a site-wide issue. And the other one was
there was something wrong with the forms. Like any forms in various sections of the websites, whether it be forms on the front end or the back end, where there's something wrong with the forms that they push. I don't know if it's something that they're trying to push for the webinar,
right?
But it didn't go so well.
Well, that's my theory, because the other one was on my homepage. It was only loading like the top half, like the say like above the fold kind of thing, and it just stopped. And I had a ton of content below there, and then the footer wasn't even displaying. So I submitted another bug. They jumped on it. They said it was another kind of site-wide. So I think when they do these, they always roll out these new widgets and new things. And so I had the engineers and IT guys were working behind the scenes in the 11th hour and kind of screwed some things up. So they realized, let's not do a webinar, because they probably had so many.
But it wasn't.
So I'll give a.
Isn't it usually one of our widgets, Ryan? That's the issue.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. The funny thing is, I always know there's a problem, because everybody then emails me and asks what I'm doing to their site, or if I broke it. So, public disclaimer for everybody: if I'm working on something on your site, I always go double check what I'm working on. If I broke something, I'm just going to undo it. So it's not to say it's never me, but something wrong with your site, I'm just like randomly editing something on your site and leaving it that way. So public disclaimer for anybody in the room, but I did probably get emailed from about 15 joke and why they're saying. I generally know when something's wrong. So it was a form issue with some push with the forms that did not go well.
I had a problem.
So
I was making
a couple of comments or questions.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, Rob, go ahead. I'll get you.
There was an issue because I was creating the QR code in the back, member, and I was making a little stand for one of my new customers, and that when you go press on reviews, because I'm really pushing like getting your local reviews around here on the BD site. When you press review, it would write a review. Nothing was showing. Yes,
yeah, because that's a form-based item, right? So,
yeah.
So, Ryan, I had a
Rich,
couple of comments and questions from today's presentation. Is first of all, I have to respectively disagree with Big Frank and agree with the other Frank, Ben Franklin effect. That just during this webinar, you helped me with the homepage, so your likability score is increased at the moment. And but also, yeah, like the homepage, I was able to just I have to put that disclaimer in there in the moment. But no, I mean, not that we need to check it out, but on my homepage where we had that glitch at the top of the webinar, not glitch, but I couldn't figure out how to fix that white space and eliminate it. And it was a little trial and error, but I ended up eliminating the form and making it a lot more, custom. But on today's topics, with today's webinar, really from last week's webinar, we talked about the example of, kind of an easier entry point, maybe experimenting an A/B test, eliminating the multiple pricing tables and just going with, sign up here now. And then when in our case, we have 3, levels, as I'm sure a lot of people do, ours is Rising Star for free, then All Star for the minimal, and then the Rockstar, the most expensive. But anyway, I'm wondering if any other BD site specifically, I know there's other websites, but any BD members here on this call or that you know about that has already created like that one-page sign up, and then because I'm kind of a visual optic guy, so I'd like to kind of see they would just land there. And would a pricing table look weird just standing in one column without the other columns? I mean, how would you do the layout? Would you go?
Well, normally you wouldn't. Normally you wouldn't do that, Rich. And so, what I'll show you, I think this is an example of one.
I'm just trying to visually anticipate, like
my site has
instead of 3 price. While you pull that up, I would say instead of 3 pricing tables, it would be basically. And what about collectively within the group or yourself? Any like
here's one that doesn't.
I was just gonna say, like the phrasing of it, like maybe not ready to sign up now. Click here to register, or claim a spot, and then you can sign up later.
Yeah. So here's here's one that doesn't have a join page really. It sends them to a featured page, right? And they can either create a free listing right off the bat. They kind of go through some of the features if they're not familiar with what the system can do for them, and then you create a free listing at the bottom. And then when you're saying it goes to one page, it doesn't go to one page with one column. It just goes straight to the sign up page, because this is instead of having the one column of features or whatever, you just expand out your vertical pricing thing with images and more words, right? This would be the thing would say join for $99, right? The most exposure, unlimited inquiries, unlimited categories, click to call, right? This is your table. It's just expanded out into one big sheet. There's only one, and then when you're done, you join, right? Or this could be this whatever the price is or whatever. So, so that's just one example.
I like that. So it's more just showing, why to claim a listing, and then the call to action is just the one button. And I was bouncing over to their website, so when they click on it, it just goes to the sign up, page basically, right? Because I just saved that in my browser. First I typed in "find your banker." I go, who's doing that? Banker, but
that's not a current client. I don't know. Find a
exactly.
Banker. It just goes straight to.
Now it has a payment. If you can scroll down, what's the payment down there? I thought, so it's not really necessarily a free offer.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it used to be. I need to talk to him because I think he switched it or whatever. He probably needs to change the text on there. Thank you. That's a good point.
Well, that raises a question. Could you
this technique's called the bait and switch? I forgot about that one. Bait
exactly.
And switch is this technique.
That's in next week's webinar. Yeah. Well, is it possible? Scroll down to that pricing again, or you can go on to another one. But could you add that pricing where they could select, to upgrade right there at the spot, because instead of the free, could you kind of build in, like they go to claim it, and then so they would see, in his case, the 99. So if you click on claim your list, it says create free listing, then it goes to $99. So, but on their pricing page, could you have the boxes where they could check different pricing options, like free? I don't know if you can click on the pricing.
Like a drop down or something, or.
Well, if you can create click the button, create a free listing, to go back to that.
You could just have different buttons. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but let me see if I can see it. I guess I can click on the.
I'm trying to understand what you're trying to do, Rich. I mean, compared to how we have it now with just the tables, because the table gives them something to compare.
Well, the strategy is, click on claim a free listing, the button.
Well, it just goes to the checkout. It's just a checkout page.
Yeah, that was my question on the checkout page. Is there an option on the checkout page when it comes down to pricing, select a payment option? Could you have a free, and then a paid?
Oh no, it's either one or the other. So it's either free or paid. Yeah, you can't have both.
Okay. So what I'm anticipating is making this free, as he said there, create a free account. But then as soon as they create it, what we talked about, instead of going back, to their account homepage or their dashboard, you would route them to another landing page with more features and more whistles and so forth, or buttons and
you do that through the settings. You could do that in your membership settings.
Right. Or you could just do what you're kind of talking about is this. So I think they launched. I'll go ahead and show you this one, but there's this kind of a through process for this one a little bit more. Maybe this is what you're kind of talking about. So, so if you have, this is for I don't know if you're vegan, Deborah, but there's a Canadian vegan site for it. But
my Alberta beef.
So okay. So we kind of step through the process here, right? So list your business, why sign up with us, right? And so on this first page, and so a little bit kind of like the sideways letter a little bit like we talked about today. It's not a video in here, but this kind of says why sign up with us, right? It's got some advantages, written out stuff like visibility, SEO, cost effective, purpose of meeting, right? Sign up today. So if you're like, yep, I want to sign up, that takes you to the join page. However, if you're not convinced, check out these 10 amazing features your new listing will have. And so you're like, okay, I don't know. Let me see what we can do with this. And so this is a kind of a similar page to the other baking one, where now we kind of into the features again, right? But it's catered to their directory, right? So now again, we're on this step, and then the next thing after you look to that, now we've kind of stepped you through the advantages, some of the features, and now the next thing is join. And so now we're going to the join page, and again, just kind of telling them why you're going to support the vegan community or whatever, what it's doing for you, some free opportunities for you if you're an animal rescue or a nonprofit, and then some paid business opportunities, right? And then they can check out from there. But that's kind of a little bit like a sideways sales thing, right? You kind of step them through that maturation process of a decision. You don't just dump them in to the join page and go join now, and they're like, what? Why would I pay? Because now when they're looking at that, going, well, I've kind of saw your mission, I saw the features, I saw what you're doing for the community. I'm willing to pay that much to be part of that, right? As opposed to pay us, get this stuff. And it's just kind of a little bit, I don't say it's not colder, but it's just harder to make the sale, right? If you dump them straight into this, by what we just showed you. So is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I like the idea, what we talked about before, where we would just kind of have the one button like on the other page, and then everybody can, like LinkedIn or whatever, or Amazon, you can create a free account. So it's, less barrier to entry and less decision fatigue or, confusing the buyer with all the different pricing tables. Because I think people land there, they go, this sounds interesting. I think I want to get one of the other packages, but I'm going to come back and, revisit the site later because I don't want to, buy the wrong package, whatever, but I'm interested. But instead of giving them buying option right up front and having to make a financial decision, just, get a free Amazon account or get a LinkedIn account. And then later, but instead of a drip email series and try to, kind of hit them later when the timing may be off, they're at your site, they're excited, they just got an account. And instead of going, there's a big green button that says kind of continue. Instead of going to, the account homepage, which is their dashboard, it would go basically to exactly what you're explaining here with a countdown clock. Hey, welcome aboard as a new, registered free member. If you upgrade right now in the next, hour or 59 minutes, you can get, and we, discount the pricing. Instead of paying, $3.49, you can sign up today for the next hour or whatever.
And so, but you would do that for the after they sign up, right? And you'd redirect them either to the after sign up page, like we've talked about before, or you put it in the email, right? And maybe it's not on the page; it's in the email only. Who knows? You could do both, right? And we've talked about that before.
I mean, you can always do both later. Anybody you can upgrade later with an email or a drip series or newsletters and on and on and on. But right now, strike while the iron's hot, but instead of having to make a credit card buying decision and they walk away from the website thinking, I'm gonna check with my boss, or I'm gonna check with this, and I'm probably gonna buy that package, but not today. But there is no buying.
Well, you could put something on here too, where you say even at the top here, like not convinced, want a free trial, click here for a free 14-day trial, or put that down here, right? Instead of the FAQ, the contact us if you have any questions, say, if you're still not sure, but want to try out the premium features for free for 14 days, click here or whatever. And you could have, again, that last final out if they didn't want to purchase and just give them that free out. You could just put that on here as well. So, yeah.
Ryan, could you use the redirect page after sign up for that as well, too?
Yeah.
That's what we were talking. That's what we were talking about. So let me go to the. We talked about this before, but for people on the call, and it just a heads up. We're at our time here, so I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this thing again next week. I'm actually gonna go into the. I know I said we're gonna go into the product launch formula and just some of the stuff from Jeff's stuff and kind of do an actual on-screen demo. We'll do record a little something, put a video on a page, show you how to do that in BD, and show you some software as well. And so we'll plan on doing that next week, kind of going through the Jeff Walker product launch stuff, an actual BD example, and then show you some software and stuff. We'll do that next week. But just in case anybody drops off here, it's when we're at time. Yeah. Yes.
Can I put a Dropbox link in the chat to download the latest issue of Advantage magazine for people to look at?
Sure. Can you? Are you asking? You can't put in the chat, or are you just asking?
No,
if you
just wanted your permission.
Oh,
if anybody wants to download that, you can see a magazine that I send out to my members every month.
Yeah, be cool.
And so we'll load it up here, and I'll go to that example here in a second. But there's a lot of marketing stuff in here as well. I'll let that load. But to answer, I'll come back to that. Deborah's question, though, what you want to do is set up for the finance and membership plans. And then for any particular membership plan, if you don't, it's normally going to go to the dashboard, right? But if, let's say, the premium membership, if you wanted to change where that went to, just click edit on there or whatever membership level. And then as soon as it comes up in the signups and upgrades first tab, and it's going to say redirect page after sign up. And then there's also redirect after login. So you could send them to a news page or something even after they log in normally. But this goes to your dashboard. So if you want it to go to an upsell page, or let's say you got them for free on the free sign up and you want to redirect them to a page that says a limited time offer to upgrade today only kind of thing, you can build a page and then add that page content here to the redirect page after initial sign up, and they'll automatically be forwarded to that page with your sales thing, right? And that may be they'll never get back to that again. Like if they close out the browser, that's only maybe a redirect you can get to off from here. The page would still load, obviously, but they'll just go to whatever page this is after they log in, or any normal page that they go to on the website. So
yeah, it's a good promo page because like
that's how you do
it. It's gone.
Yeah. That's what I'm envisioning, having that kind of countdown clock, and then immediately right after they sign up, being directed to that upsell page.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, the Smiling Tomato. What was that? That website. It's not pulling up.
.ca.
It's the smilingtomato.ca. It's Canada.
I had .ca, but I must be misspelling tomato or something here. But tomato. Tomato or tomato?
It's the Smiling Tomato. Yes.
Or tomato. Still not working, but
I was gonna say I think we spell that one the same as you guys.
Yeah.
There's no U in it.
It's the old jewelry. They Candace misspells jewelry.
Counselor, modeling, neighbor, color,
organization.
Organization, yeah.
Yeah.
We do it the right way.
No comment.
It took you a minute for the correction there, but we'll accept that.
Well, I think there's there's some British people in the house. They kind of may overrule everybody else anyway. So it's usually
that's going to be my issue, Ryan, because I changed everything. We merged the site to American spelling now, but it just dawned on me when I put the UK and Australia in, they're all going to want to go back to the U's and the double L's, and so I figure US. Everybody knows how the US spells things and like US dollars, so we'll keep it at that.
Yeah. Can't make everybody happy. I guess you could pay for a lot of big customization to do show different things for different areas, but probably not worth the expense on that one. But
I do wish BD had different currencies, because I know the Canadians here now don't like paying in the US dollars on my site, but because it makes it more expensive. So
don't the payment processors convert?
Can you put that in
It's showing the amount. Like you can't say I want to buy in Canadian or have a different price, right, for each location. You can't do that either. So
yeah, like mine's $45. It's $45. Whatever your currency rate is going to be, or your exchange rate is what it'll charge you. So
right, yeah.
Right. Can you put that website in the chat? I'm typing Google searching, and I don't know if it's an HTTPS or what's happening, but I can't seem to get the site.
All right.
But normally if you just put the W's or just the URL, but I've tried a half a dozen different variations here, and with the .ca. .ca.
You're spelling the wrong.
That must be something, dude. I'm like,
Bob the Smiling Tomato.
Entertainment, Ryan.
I put a link in the chat if anybody wants to download that copy of Advantage.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it downloaded again. For all you people who want to do TikTok advertising, it'll be good.
Oh, here we go. I found it.
Content decay, I like that. Yeah, that was actually something that just a technique I heard the other day, just to toss out. It's kind of out of nowhere here, but just since I saw the content decay thing on his sheet here, that's one thing you can do if you write a news article that you put on your blog or whatever, or you want a link back to your blog by adding some content to somebody else's. You can kind of go to find some sites out there in your niche that have like an old content or a out of date, description of something, and then just basically write to them and say, hey, I've got an article that I think would be a good replacement for that. It's kind of out of date, doesn't really apply anymore. Feel free to add this in here. If you just link back to my directory, I'd be more than happy for you to add the article to your website, try to update it. And that's a way to potentially get a backlink by updating old content, or to give better content to people who have already proven that they want to have that content on their website. You're just giving them a better alternative than what's currently there.
Perfect.
All right. All right. So we're at our time here. Any last questions? Again, we'll pick this up next time, since I talked for too long this week.
What's next week's topic?
You won't know till Thursday.
So next week, I'm going to go over. I already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again here. I'll sign off here real quick. Stay on the line here. I'll let you guys know what we're doing for next week. But thanks everybody for joining. Again, this will be up on videos.com for the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe and hit like on that. And I'll see you guys next week at the same time.
Thanks.